Did you push the announcement? So we have. I pushed the announcement.
Ping the people.
I should have pinged them.
It's because sometimes I use the full width of my screen, and sometimes I rescale my window to be like 1920, 1080. But I like working in widescreen more lately, so I'm using widescreen. As long as it's visible, then it should work. All right, do we need to wait 1 more minute? Okay. I think we can just get started, right? Yeah, let's do it. Nice, let's go. All right then, guys. Last time we made a pillar with only 16 verts. All right, very low poly, very nice. We're gonna scatter this around to make like a nice temple, but not yet because we still need to do some things. And most importantly, I got a tool to show you guys. It's an external tool, not a Blender tool, and that is going to be very useful in your lives for a lot of stuff. Okay. So where did we leave off? We only had a pillar with an open cap there. Yes. So let's see. We can first turn this into like this squared shape. So I'm gonna follow how this is being built up. So this top one is one segment that's going outwards. And this slab right there is gonna be another piece of stone. So yeah, why not just make it like that as well? Right, so we can actually extrude this into the same object. So we're gonna think about whether or not we want this to be the same material, right? Because it looks the same, but it has some yellow spots on it, some more yellowish. So we could make that in the texturing as well. So this material node is gonna get more crazy, I guess, which is fine. Okay, because in the end, if you want to export this to like a game engine or whatever, you're gonna bake the color map and the bump map and whatever anyway. So this won't be needed anymore at that point. Okay, so let's just extrude this upwards in the Z direction. Let me enable my screen Coskeys. Where are they? There they are. They always place differently each time I start this. Make it pink. Beautiful. All right. Here we go. So just scale this up a little bit. You all know how to scale by now, I hope. There we go. A little bit smaller. Beautiful. All right. Now let's see in render mode if this looks weird or if it looks okay. It looks weird because, well, we have no UVs for that segment yet, right? If you extrude something, the UV is not going to be extruding with it, right? Sadly enough, we have to unwrap that manually once again. Let's see. We want this to be, of course, the seam. So mark that seam. There we go. And I'm actually not going to unwrap this entire pillar again, right? I like how it's looking right now. So what I'm going to do is just select this part and just unwrap that. Okay. So now we have a little bit of an issue because, well, we once again have to straighten this out. All right, the same thing we did for the bottom part of this pillar, right? All the UVs need to be straightened out. They need to match the same skill as this one as well. Okay. So what I'm gonna do actually is not repeat the entire process in this tutorial because then I'm gonna do repetitive things for you guys, and you can just watch the previous tutorial and you will know exactly how to do that. So what I'm gonna do is just Q project that for now and whatever, right? Let's see, where is it at? We could just scale this down a little bit, and well, that works for now. Okay, it doesn't work well, but it works. Okay, I will do the process on my own time instead of showing that to you guys. All right. So what I really want to show you today is not how to make this cube. Okay, this cube you can make in the same way as you made the material on here, for example. You can even scale the noise texture down in the Z direction a little bit, right? Let me show you how to do that. That's an interesting thing, I guess. So I'm going to add a cube for a change. Actually, no, let's just add a plane, right? Let's stick to what's working for us. And we can just place that up top. And what I'm going to do, I want this to be right in the center over my my cone sphere, my cone shape. So what I'm going to do is go to edit mode, double click on that edge, shift S cursor to select it, right? That means that our cursor is now right in the center of that edge. And then we can select our plane, shift S, selection to cursor. That means it's nice and in the center now. Okay, I'm going to scale this up a little bit. There we go. And let's see. Seems about right. Maybe scale down a little bit. And then I'm just going to go into edit mode and extrude that up a little bit. Here we go. Beautiful. I'm going to just cube project this. Cube projection with a cube usually works fine, right? Doesn't really affect it a lot. Control A, apply all transforms, right? Because otherwise we're going to have some texturing issues. And I'm just going to cube project it again. All right. This will work fine. All right. So I'm just going to go to the shader editor. And by the way, the reason I'm not placing all my UVs into the same UV space is because I'm not planning to really export this for games or whatever, right? This may be part of the asset library at some point, but other than that, it doesn't really matter. Okay, but if you wanna use this again, it's always nice to keep everything within one UV, because otherwise, well, you're going to have to export multiple textures, for example, right? You have an UV space that is going to be turned into an actual texture image. And if you have things that go outside of your image, then you will need, well, perhaps another image and another UV map. So best to just keep things into the same space if you're going to export this, right? So it doesn't matter where in the space, because if you're going to manually texture this, you're going to texture on that UV space as well. Okay, that's basically it. So for now, well, it doesn't matter, but I'm still showing you anyway. That's fine. All right, something like that. Beautiful. All right, I'm just going to go to the shader editor. I'm going to hit new. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a basic color for starters. And I'm also not going to repeat the entire process of this material creation. Okay, I'm not. What I'm going to do is just show you what you can do to get, for example, a little bit more of these stretch or compressed markings, right? Which is also done, you guessed it, with a noise texture. Okay, we use that for a lot of things because it can give us a lot of outcomes. I use it, for example, for a quick water texture as well, right? If you set it up right, it can be a wavy surface. Beautiful. And you can even make it animated with it as well. Right, so what I'm going to do is just connect Shift A, connect a noise texture, first of all, to the base color there. All right, and you can already see that it's a little bit stretched, which is fine. And what I'm going to do is select it, press Ctrl T, and we have a mapping node. All right, so this mapping node you can use to stretch and scale your UVs pretty much, right? You're mapping it. If I set this to UV, it's going to be the way we unwrapped our UVs, right? I showed you about this before. And that's basically going to mean that because we applied the scale, those UVs should now be nice and, well, have the nice scale as well, right? Instead of being compressed down a little bit. So if we actually Ctrl-Shift-click on the noise texture, which should show our nice black and white values, I'm going to right away add a color ramp in there because it is usually way too soft for what purposes we're using it for. I just drag the black and the whites closer together. Easy as that. All right, so right now you can see that they are not really matching at the seams, which is of course because those UVs are, those UVs are not connected as well. All right. So if you want to have those overlapping, you will have to UV unwrap it properly, like a cube, right? So you all have had a paper box delivered to your house. You've unwrapped it. If you unfold that box, that is where you need your seams to be pretty much, right? So I'm going to give you homework, unwrap a box, you know, and you'll see how to unwrap a cube without having, for example, too many of these seams right here. I'm not going to show that right now. A little bit of homework, you know, buy a box. Fun. Right, so I'm just going to crank up the detail level a little bit because, well, I love some details, some roughness as well. Now, if you want to compress this, for example, on the sides of this cube, we actually, on the sides, we can just change the scale of the mapping a little bit. All right, that should work. Actually, let me see where we are. We may have to try some different values. The Y is the one we need, so we can scale this up, for example, and it will compress that down a little bit, right? Compress this down into, for example, those markings on the side. And we can then use that for a bump map, right? The same way we did it for the pillar. We use some of these scratch marks, some of these grunge textures for the actual side. So we can now set that color ramp to be a bump map, right? I'm going to leave that at there because there's something else I really want to show you guys. And that is going to help us build way more detail for this temple. And this Greek temple actually doesn't have it. What I'm looking for is, oh my god, I forgot the name. It's like a, you know the sculptures that those Greek temples have on the front, right? Of like battle scenes or whatever, important figures lying around and standing, stuff like that. You should be able to see my browser now as well. Can somebody confirm that, please?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So there's a tool called Materialize, and it's going to make our lives very easy when it comes to texturing some things, okay? Because, well, we can just download this for free. Beautiful, right? Go to downloads, and we can just download materials for Windows or whatever you can download it for. It should be for, it may actually not be for Mac. Well, more reasons to buy Windows, guys. So I'm just gonna show this anyway. There's other ways to do this as well. I think there's even even Midjourney does it actually lately. But I will show you. Right. So we have a download file. This is the wrong one. I'm just gonna download this for Windows. I'm going to open this up. Materialize should open up any second. There we go. WinRAR. I was asking for a trial still. Extract that to wherever you need it. I'm gonna make a new folder. I've installed this like 3 times already. Materialize 3. Doesn't matter, guys. Right, just extract it. You can also just double click it from within the zip file and it will just start it up anyway, so you don't even need to unpack that, right? It's pretty standalone. And then it will launch. And this is it. This is all you will have to work with. Okay. And what Materialize does is it takes any kind of picture, any texture that you have, and it can create normal maps, height maps, ambient occlusion maps from one image. Okay, and believe me, I've tried to just do this in Blender. I've tried to just create displacements maps of, well, for example, an image. Sometimes it works, but it's not always right. And this works way better, and it's incredibly easy. All right, so I'm going to show you this with, and well, the user interface this is is quite old, which means that the actual locating the files is going to be a little bit difficult as well. So you're going to have to give me a second to find my right file. Right, this is all going to be alphabetical. I have not figured out a way to actually sort this on, like downloaded latest or something like that. But I should have like a statues file somewhere. Yes, I should clean up my download folder. You guys are right. I know what you're thinking. S, this is all for the eyeball. statues. ST. How does the alphabet work? Damn it, I'll just copy it to a different folder. Oh, it's not even in the right folder. All right, well, there we go. Documents. Statue. All right, there we go. That should work. And just to show you guys, this is what we're going to be using. Okay. And we're not gonna get the exact same detail, of course. We can't just create sculptures out of thin air, but we can make it look kind of like those sculptures, so it will be perfect for low poly in the distance. Right? Beautiful. Right, so I'm just going to go back to the good old Materialize program and try to find my folder. I call it statue. There it is. And then we can just load up this image, right? Just select that. And you have to load it in the diffuse map first. It is the color input, right? And this is going to be used to create any of the other maps that we have here. All right, so for example, we can just now create a height map. Click on create. It's going to turn it into a black and white value, but it has some kind of a calculation behind it that works really well. And it's also blurring it out a little bit. So this is made for actual displacement, and I'll show you that as well, because you can just subdivide your mesh a bunch of times, and you can actually get some displacement details out of these maps as well. And well, there's a lot of settings you can change here, right? So if you just want to have the input of the displacement, for example, for a bump map, right? You can set a height map in the bump node in Blender as well, which is a black and white input. Then you can, for example, set this to details, which is going to give you some more details. I usually set this to default because, well, if you actually want to displace the mesh, right? If we want to crank up that subdivision level and have some displacements, and then having the details section is also going to displace like the little shadow parts right there on the chest, for example. That's also going to be used as well. Right, so one thing that you guys need to be aware of when using this program, right? There will be images that have a weird shadow, for example, a hard light coming from, for example, the top right, and it will cast a shadow on the thing that you want to use as a texture. In that case, it is also going to affect the height map, okay? It is not that smart that it can actually turn off the shadows in an image, for example, okay? So try to find images where the light is nice and even, where the only shadow parts is where you, for example, want your ambient occlusions to be, or that are deeper into the actual texture. Right, something like this I think should work fine, because we have quite an even lighting coming from, I guess, the front, I'm not sure. Right, so this is the displacement map. If you have a lower poly and you want to just create some kind of displacement, just set this to displace. It will blur it out more, but it will also mean that it will be less noisy, right? So I'm just gonna leave this at like the default, and we can now play around with the contrast, right? We can set it to cracks, to funky, whatever. It all has a use, okay? But I usually just leave it as default, right? And then I can set this as a height map. And you can see that right now we can't create a normal map because it's actually going to use the height map as well for that. All right, so first create a height map, set that as your height map. And now we can actually create a normal map, right? There we go. It's going to create a little normal map with a little bit of bumps and stuff like that, right? And this is something that I will never actually would have gotten myself unless I would use an external program, right? I'm not really sure how it does it. I'm not sure how AI does it as well. I'm not like an AI guy. But we can just play with some sliders if we need. But I usually just feel like the first setting is usually quite right. And once again, you can play around with the settings and have this smoother or have this nice and crisp, right? Mids. Default is usually what I go for, right? Maybe with a little bit more contrast there. Right, I'm just going to set that as a normal map. Beautiful. And lastly, I'm going to create an ambient occlusion map as well. Right, and that will just give us the places where objects, where things are the closest as well, right? Some nice folds of these clothes, inside the hairs, stuff like that. It all works quite nice. And well, we have some sliders here to play around with. Once again, we can make that stronger. I don't want it that strong, and we can tweak that in Blender as well, okay? Don't worry. So I'm just going to leave it as something like that, set as ambient occlusion map, and then we can start saving our files, right? That is the S button for each one of those. So I usually save the diffuse map again because I want to add this to a new folder. So what I'm going to do is just go to Documents, and then inside the statue folder, I will create a new one with textures, just like that. Confirm. And now inside the textures, I will be saving these files. So what I'm going to do is name the diffuse map as, let's just call it engraving, I guess. And then I'm going to dash diffuse it, just so I know what I saved is at. Same for the height map, S. Save this as like engraving height. Easy. Save the normal map as well. Save this at like engraving normal. Amazing. And then we have the AO as last. Save that up as the engraving AO. Right? Beautiful. So now we have 4 texture maps that we can use in Blender. Beautiful. Let's go back to Blender. Right? First things first, let me hide this annoying background. And I'm actually just going to hide this as well, because it's annoying as well. Right? So what we're going to do is first try to match the general shape of the image that we just had. Right? We can even import it as a reference image. And let me find that one again. Statue. Here we go. Right? Little reference image, just so we know what kind of shape we should be looking for. And what I'm going to do is first just create that inner triangle pretty much. Right? And you can see that this image is taken from a little bit below the statues, which means that we will be missing like part of the feet and stuff like that. But I'm still going to make that ridge on the outside to extrude that out, so it doesn't really matter, guys. Don't worry. So what we're going to do, Shift A, mesh plane, and I'm going to drag this to the right, press R, Y, 90, and I'm going to scale that up so it matches about the height of that inner triangle, just like that. I'm going to press Tab, I'm going to press Ctrl R, add an edge loop in the middle right away, and then I'm just going to move these left 2 vertices right there to that corner. And I'm actually just going to keep this as 2 verts because I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it later. I may want to add like an extra line there, and if we want to subdivide this, it is going to be better if we actually keep quads. Okay, it's easier to subdivide. Okay, so right part, we can mirror this, or we can do it by hand. Right now, it's going to be easier to just drag and just kill this by hand. So I'm just going to do that. Drag that into like the corner where you want the texture to end, somewhere like there. Left part, let's see. There. Somewhere there. Beautiful. And make sure that this is nice and in the top. That should be fine. Beautiful. And now we can just select the bottom 3 verts like that. And press, oh, I need the bottom 3. Hold Shift, select them. S, Z0. That will make them nice and straight on the same line. And move them to the bottom again a little bit. Right, so you can see that we have a little bit of a crooked building photo. But that's fine. We can make that straight in the UVs. Right, so press Tab, A, U. And we're just going to project this from view. And to do that, make sure that you are actually in the front view of this building. So numpad 3. And then just press U and project that from the view. Right? And that means that we're just going to have a nice matching UVs with what we see right here. Okay? So we know our image is going to be loaded in as like a little square here. So I'm just going to make this like, well, it doesn't really matter. We still have to load up the image. Right, so let's go to the shader panel, shader editor, hit new, and we have our image. Or sorry, our principled BSDF. I'm just gonna hit Ctrl-Shift-T. I'm not sure if I shared that before, but if you have not enabled Node Wrangler, you should have by now. I've explained this before in the tutorial, but I'll do it again real quick. Edit, preferences, you can actually see this menu now. Add-ons, and then just search for the Node Wrangler. Right, very easy. Turn that on, save your preferences. Right, don't forget. And now we can hit Ctrl-Shift-T on our principled BSDF, right? Why Ctrl-Shift-T? It allows us to actually select multiple textures, and it's going to try and already connect the right textures to the right inputs of the principled BSDF, right? Normals to the normals, height to the displacement, diffuse to the color, right? So that saves us a bunch of time. So we're going to locate the statue, the textures, and I'm not going to add the ambient occlusion because I'm not sure if it's going to get that, but we can add the diffuse, the height, and the normal, and we're just going to principled texture setup. It says it on the button here as well. We can add that, and there we go. It is going to connect the normals to the normal with a normal mode in between. It saves us work. it's going to add the displacement to the displacement with a displacement map in between. Beautiful. So now we need to go to the UV editor. Press tab. And we need to make sure that these images match, right? The shape matches the shape. And we can actually set that to the diffuse real quick at the top. There we go. So I'm just going to drag those rectangles or whatever they are. Hello. There we go. Just drag that to the right spot. I haven't moved the entire thing. There we go. Why is it being weird about selecting this? Can we not do that today, please? Thank you. Move that up. Move this down. Right? Just make sure that the UVs stay in line with what you actually created just now from the reference image. Like that. And let's actually make this a little bit higher. Beautiful. Oh, this is way too much to the left. I want it to be like there. All right. And this may be a little bit more there. Right, a little bit lower there. Beautiful. Right, so you can now see that our image actually has that texture and it's already using some of the bumps and stuff, right? Which should actually already work with our HDRI. If I go to my shader editor and to my world tab, and if I actually press Ctrl T on that, we can now rotate this around in the Z direction. You cannot really see it changing right now because we have quite an HDRI that works in all directions. So let me turn this off a little bit to like 0.2. And let's press Shift A light, add a quick point light. Let's see if we can actually find a way to show like the bumps or the shadows. Alright, so with the light as well, you will see that's actually casting a nice shadow on there, right? And well, right now it may be quite strong. We see some pixels, so what means basically usually means that you have to either lower your displacement a little bit or lower your normal map a little bit, right? Let's try them both. All right, so you can see that it actually adds a lot of that shading, a lot of the depth to our texture, right? Same for the displacement map. If I turn this off, it's going to basically just be a plain image, right? But if I turn this up, we actually get the shadows that we would get when we would extrude a bit of the shape. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, well, move that light around a little bit. You can actually see that we light this Jesus guy. I'm not sure. That's actually getting lit like how it would be more. I'm not going to say it is one-on-one, right? Because we can't create those statues just out of thin air. But it has some of the normals. Beautiful. And what we can do now is go to the modifiers, subdivide this a bunch of times. Make sure you set this on simple, otherwise it's going to round everything, and we don't want that. So set that to simple, and I'm just going to set this to like a level of 9, right? It should be able to handle that easy. Level of 9, and we can go to the material tab and actually set the settings to a displacement and bump. Right, that way it's actually going to see our displacement node as something that can displace our mesh. Right, so if I now go to the side view of this, it is actually going to extrude this mesh out. And if I set this to a scale of 1, it is actually going to extrude it out even more. Right, so you can control how much that extrudes with the displacement map. And now we actually get quite a 3D view of this front panel without actually having to do any sculpting or anything like that, right? So that is a very nice way of doing stuff like this, right? So for the roughness, you'll have to set that manually. I don't even care really about that a lot. There we go. So we can tweak. We can even set this level to 8 maybe. And maybe turn the normal map a little bit down. Let's see what works best, right? Because we have some small artifacts. So right now it's tweaking. It also depends on the actual texture resolution, because we are, for example, now zoomed in quite a lot in the texture. And if the texture is just a small texture, we won't be able to get that much details. But once again, if we look at from a distance, from the side, from the bottom, imagine your character being on the bottom here, you can actually see this texture is going to be displaced beautifully, right? So that is just something to keep in mind. If it's going to be in the distance, just turn off your subdivision, right? And you will still get those nice looking lights and stuff on it very beautifully, right? So now we can actually work with this texture, which is amazing. And we didn't even add like a ton of extra cracks and colors yet. It's just plain old texture work on a triangle, pretty much. Okay, so I hope that helps with multiple things as well, because I use this for a lot of things. For example, a coin. If you want to create any kind of coin, guys, just make a photo of your coin, like we have, for example, the euro coin. Make a photo of the euro coin from up top with a little bit of soft lighting coming from outside, and you can use that coin texture to create the same textures and actually create a bump map of like a euro, right? Things like that, very useful stuff. All right, let's see. We can actually now continue doing this. And well, we now have to figure out how much detail we want in the rest of this. All right, so we can actually do the same thing, for example, for this top line right there. All right, so we could even use that as another texture, right? So let's do that. Why not, right? So I'm just going to scale. Let's see. I'm just going to add a new plane, for example. New plane, press A1, and I don't even sure where it is, but it doesn't matter. There it is. M, and I'm just going to merge this at the center. And then I'm just going to enable my snap real quick, set that to face, project, and then I'm just going to drag that onto my reference image. Is that not working? There we go, reference image. I'm not sure if it actually captures the reference image as a surface. It does not. Well, that is annoying. So we will just work with it from the front view, I guess. So what I'm going to do is just extrude this all the way to the middle, right there. Extrude this to the thick point there. Beautiful. And extrude this to the left. Extrude this to the more to the left. And connect this. Let's see. Let's set this to be about there. And then just connect it with F. Right? Beautiful. Let's do the right side as well. Why not? We have the texture loaded up already. So we can just add any of the texture that we want to, well, different parts of this temple, pretty much. Connect that up. Press A, and actually we may have to add another point there, because, well, you know we work in quads here, right? So we have to connect 4 verts into an actual plane, and you can fill that up by pressing F if you have 4 of them selected. Select 4, press F, and now select these 2, 4, F, and same for this. Select all of them, F, and then same for, actually, we don't even need this bottom line. Do I have a bottom line? I do not. Look at that. Right, so now we can just UV unwrap that from the front, A, U, project from view. Go to the UV editor. There we go. It's looking a little bit weird. So let's Control A, apply all transforms, just for in the case we have weird transforms, U, project from view. Okay, so it's still looking quite weird. Doesn't matter. We'll fix that. All right, so press A, S, Y. Just scale that up a little bit, right? I'm not sure why we need to, but here we are. Beautiful. And I'm already going to mesh that to the texture, even though we don't have it applied, because we already know what it's going to look like, right? It's going to look beautiful. There we go. And let's move this to the right. Easy as that. And by the way, guys, this is also how you can use, for example, Google Map images, right? Find a building that you love, that you enjoy. It can be your own house, doesn't matter. Just take a screenshot from the front, for example, of that building, and you can use those textures and turn them into normal maps, height maps, and stuff as well. So you can create very easy buildings. It's the same thing I use, for example, for the Japanese buildings I made, right? I made those with Google Street View. So those are all actual buildings. And by using this, you can even use them for the normal maps, for the displacement maps, stuff like that. Okay, so now we can actually hold Shift, select our front thingy, hit Ctrl L, and link up those materials, right? And now, boom, we have a nice looking top part of our temple right away. Isn't that crazy, guys? Isn't that crazy? Right, so for the sake of depth, I'm going to turn off the displacement on this one, because otherwise it's just going to move our mesh backwards, as you can see, because we don't have the geometry to back that up. Just turn this to bump only, right? And it will move right back. And we may actually have to, because it is the same material, which means that it's gonna apply the same changes for both the front and the back part right here. But for now, I'm gonna allow that, okay? I'm just gonna set both to bump only because we have the modifier disabled on this one anyway. All right, so we can just move that more to the front, for example, just like that, right? Because we do want some actual depth there. And then we can select it, press A, press tab, and just extrude that to the right a little bit, right? So now our top part is actually gonna look like shit, right? Because it is extruded and it can't use the same textures. So what do we do? Well, there's a little bit of a trick that a lot of people use and that a lot of YouTubers have shared as well. For example, go to your top view, press U, press unwrap. All right, and let's see where it is. There it is. All right, now we just have a stroke, just one stroke. So what I'm gonna do is cheat my way out of this, is what I do for a lot of things. Which means I'm just gonna grab and rotate this to a part of the building that I can actually use. Like this part right here is nice and clean. So I'm just gonna place it there, scaled up a little bit. Just like that. Just like that. Beautiful. And now from the top view, it's just going to be like the concrete material with a little bit of indents and stuff like that. Right? Very easy way to just cheat your way out of things. Okay? Without actually having to use a new material or search for a new material. Alright, so you can cheat your way out of this for a lot of things, guys. For a lot of things. Even this front part, right? We could use this once again. I'm just gonna do that. Right? How long do we have left? Alright. I'll just do that and then we'll be finished. Right? So we already have two parts right here. Obviously, this part with the air rate bits is something we need to do a bit more tricky. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that for the next one. So we are actually going to create a high detail temple now, I guess. Why not? Now you know how to use textures and stuff, so that's fun. All right, for the bottom part, this part, it is the same old, same old. I've done this 3 times now after this one. So after this, you will know how to do it. Okay, promise me. So what I'm gonna do is add a nice plane, move that here, RY90, and I'm just gonna place that right at the bottom. Scale this up a little bit. I'm gonna press Alt Z. X-ray not available. Oh, damn it. Alt Z works in solid mode. There we go. Scale this up, and I'm gonna place the vertices. Well, I'm just gonna apply the scale in the Z direction to be kind of the same shape as Y. Move that all to the side, right? So we're not going to follow the shape of the building, obviously, with this plane, because this building is photographed in a down angle, which means we're working with perspectives. And, well, for this building, we want all the lines to be straight, right? Because it is a building that is built straight as well. So we are not gonna take account for the camera angle. We're gonna make it straight. So we're gonna fix the angles in the UVs is how you do it. All right, press Alt Z. And I'm going to move this a little bit more to the right. Here we go. Front view, tab A, U, unwrap. Actually, let's do U, project from view. Why not? Press A, move that there, scale that up. Scale it up in the Y direction. Right, in the UVs, your up direction is actually the Y direction because you have 2 dimensions. So scaling in the Z direction is not going to do a lot except, well, scale just regularly, right, in all directions. Right, so we're gonna drag that to about there. This to, well, we can do it to about there, I guess. Why not? We can even take this little pillar with us, perhaps. This to the left here. That to, did we join that or not? We did. Okay, good. And we can even add a little edge loop right there, and move that a little bit to the bottom. All right, because, well, more to the bottom. So press double G because I want to match this shape a little bit. Okay, I think that will be fun. So I'm gonna press A, and I'm just gonna move this out a little bit. All right, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of detail because I feel like it. Beautiful. And I'm gonna add another edge loop. And what I'm gonna do is scale this bottom edge up a little bit. All right, so we can get a little bit of that concave shape already. And I'm going to add one more edge loop right there at the top. And I'm going to scale this up a little bit. Right, so this is going to be pretty much that little bit of thickness there. And let's move these 2 up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so in the UV editor, obviously we need to include that as well. It should already be there, but we need to add it to the proper places. There, this one there. Let's add it there, and then this can be there, all right? Because that is where the mesh continues. And then this one is, well, I'm just gonna leave it there because I don't feel like doing the same thing for the top here because we're running out of time, guys. But you know how to do that, right? So I'm gonna move this one in, and I'm gonna just move this one so that we don't see the fall off of this pillar, right? So we just have a nice smooth line next to it. Okay, so let's apply the same material to that plane, right? Hold Shift, select your main part, Control L, and link your materials. Let's go to render view. And we now have a nice front view as well, right? So if I hide this, we already have a nice starting point of a temple, right? Isn't that amazing? Beautiful and quick, right? So at the end, when you do this for the parts where you want the textures to be, you can just fill up the rest of the mesh on in the way that I just showed you, right? Connect them up, and we could even create these little array bits, which I will show you next time. Arrays is a very fun tool to use for a lot of things as well. But for right now, I think that has been a nice little short tutorial on how to use textures and stuff like that. And displacement maps, right? Because it does look kind of cool with the displacements on, I feel like. Right, so we just have a little more depth here. Looking quite beautiful. Right, so that has been it for today, I guess. Next time we'll finish this up, this front part, and we'll add like the little details and stuff. I know you guys will love to create things like that as well, so I will include it, even though at the end we will use this in the background. Are there any questions?
My mind is blown. I love the class. Like I think like I love how you explain basically the shortcuts or how you can how you can basically cheat around, even when I wouldn't call it cheat, but how you basically like little tricks that comes like super handy. You didn't promise too much earlier, where you said like, hey guys, I will show you today something that will be super useful. You will be happy to have like these little tricks up your sleeve. So you didn't promise too much. I'm grateful and looking forward to the next week.
Amazing. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or?
You just gave us some new ideas for big Blender. So.
Really?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice to do that, but with updated UI?
Oh yeah, but I'm not sure how. Maybe Bull's a genius. He will figure it out.
I was gonna say we'll figure it out at some point, but yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Because yeah, that's super useful, and I had no clue something like that even existed. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
It is amazing. The actual idea for this, I knew you could do it, but it got really useful when AI came out because you can generate images that are, well, pretty much royalty free, right? And you can create engravings, for example. You can create things like this. Is exactly. I will show you right now. I will show you guys what I, for example, used already within AI. There should be a Midjourney bot in my list of Discord somewhere. Tell me if you guys see it. What is the icon for it again? Wait, I think it's in my own server. Yeah, so there was at the point where Midjourney was still free in Discord, which is when I created a lot of engravings and stuff that I can use for the same kind of purpose, right? I throw it into the same program, it will give me the right maps, and I can create crazy metal patterns with it. That I can put on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is really useful.
What kind of language does Midjourney actually use? Or Python?
I'm actually not sure.
They will probably need to make hooks for to another language, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be awesome if we were able to build that into the tool that you just showed us all together as well. You could type in your prompt and then it gives you all the maps for everything.
Yeah, that will be sick.
That's the way.
That will be incredible. It's already nice, but having it at the same spot will save a lot of time.
And Liquid's going crazy with the ideas. But I love it.
Bro,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
As soon as I saw that Sylvester was thinking the same thing I was like, all right, that means it's probably possible. Because I always have these ideas, but until one of you guys say something, I'm like, I don't even know if it's possible.
We'll have to figure it out. We also have to do some research if somebody else already hasn't done something like that. Because I know there are AI things within Blender, but I don't think there are actually AI things that combine this with like creating your own textures and maps. So we'll have to figure out. Otherwise, we'll create it.
Yeah, something we need to check.
Yeah. But if you guys have Midjourney, I think there's no real free version anymore, is there?
As far as I know, not. The only you have 25 creations free, and then it costs money. But with every new account that you potentially have within Discord, you have, I think it's 25 creations for free.
Okay. Well, if you guys have any Goodfellas NFTs per chance, you can also use a good AI. It will give you the same results because that is based on Midjourney, I guess. So same prompts, same outcomes. If you have NFTs there, make use of it, I guess. This is not a shill, guys. This is just me telling you to use those.
Nice. Very good. Now, but yeah, we just need to check. I'm also thinking if you can have an account and people want to use it and pay for it, we can just use one account and that's paying for it, right? So they pay for it themselves. And but it's just linked to that one account or something.
Yeah. Oh, we could even maybe have it.
Account, yeah.
We could perhaps include it into our Discord even. If we have one license, we could add the bot to our Discord channel maybe. So, yeah, that's a great idea, Boo. Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's try that. Wait, you can already try to add the bot, I think. If you can add the bot, then it will already be nice. There's like a little line that you have to write, I think. Should I try it?
Yeah, we should definitely try that. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah.
But that's also something I said last time, for reference images or something. So let's say you have an idea of a throne room or whatever you want. It's always hard to find good images online, right? But if you can just generate them and you can, because if you want to learn, you have to recreate what you see, right? So it would be awesome to just make a prompt of an environment you want to build and then just start modeling all the assets you see, right?
Hell yeah.
Try to mimic the lighting and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. Very, very true. Wow. There was one more thing that I wanted to show you guys. How many are still in here? I'll do it. There's a library that I found that is incredibly useful if you make old things like this. If you want to use actual statues and stuff, because if we are making a Greek city, we want some big statues as well, right? So there's actually a 3D scan library that I think scans actual sculptures out of museums and stuff. The website is 3dscans.com with actual 3 written out. I'll just post it in this side chat. Why not? Also, the other link I'll post it right away too. This one. There you go. So there's a huge library of 3D scans of actual statues that you can just download and grab off there for free. Right? So if you want an eagle in your scene statue, go ahead, click it. Download the scan. It'll be nice and high res. I actually downloaded the entire library at some point because I was afraid it was going to get taken down. But don't do that because the files can get quite big and you'll have your drive filled up right away. So make sure to check that out. So it comes in an OBJ, some come in an STL. Just extract that, right? You know how to import things right now. Extract that and then go back into Blender. File, import, OBJ, downloads. Where is our eagle? Was it called eagle custom normals? Huh? It was. Okay. Import that right in there. It may take a sec, but there it is. Nice and big statue of an eagle, just like that. Right? Beautiful. Head into your Blender kit. Search for a noise, a marble material. Swipe that on there. Oop. It's going to take a sec. From the default, these statues are quite high res, so I recommend using the decimate modifier to shrink this down a little bit, get some of the detail away. And things like this, statue 3D scans, if they don't come with textures, just cube project it and hope for the best. Okay, cube project. Because there's no way we're gonna retopologize this, right? Hell no. Go into the UVs, press tab, see how it's looking nice and stretched. Let's turn this down a little bit. All right. I'm going off track again. You get the idea. Import statues for free, easy. Something I wanted to include today. So here we are. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Any questions, or I'm gonna wrap this up. All right then. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Comic book page, coffee shop. Remember. Oh, welcome, sir. All right. See you guys later.
Thank you, Nina.
No problem.
See you later.
Bye bye.